unlike many of the other videos that I made that I released this past week, these are actually being filmed the day that they'll be released. That they're being released on YouTube. The day you're seeing this, or the day it was uploaded, is the day I made it. This one and the next one. So now we're on how to rock a tennis ball. This is the penultimate episode, 25th out of 26th. Although it was actually the last episode of the series made, the 26th and final episode made. And this one I have a bit of a mixed reaction to. I mean, it's more of a positive reaction than a negative one. I can definitely say that much. So here's the basic premise of the episode. Brewster High is doing a flea market for everybody, and Gravity 5 has their own booth, and the Perfs have their own. Although, you'd think that given that little setup in the beginning, it'd be an episode about them competing to see who sells the most. It's not. Thank God for that. And what it does end up turning into is something that I feel is much better. So, Casey's just gotten her learner's permit, and she's very preoccupied about that. Because she really wants to get the chance to do a lot more driving. But there is the fact that the rest of Gravity 5's accusing her of being irresponsible because she forgot to bring in things for them to sell at the flea market. So now she has to try and find a means of proving she's responsible. She persuades Marge to allow her to run his booth for him. So along with that, he tells her how to sell everything, what to sell it for. But a problem with that is, as well, that he asks her not to sell his tennis ball, his prized tennis ball, which he had a Tennis Pro sign, and since it's his prized possession and he cannot ever part with it. So she agrees not to allow that to happen, and he leaves her to it. But then, when she's called away for a driving lesson, she dumps it on Stevie and takes off to do to take care of the lesson. And the way she does it is not. She doesn't do it in the most likable way. I mean, she says that it has to be judged, that it can be judged on the same level as a sick friend or something that she needs to take care of instead, and then runs off before Stevie even has a chance to process what she just said. That's a real dick move. Wow. Then we have, that aside, as a result of some kind of convoluted circumstance, each of the gang members end up having the tennis ball ends up getting ruined, and each of the members of the gang, the 7 of them, not the 5 of them, end up having a part in what happened. So, although at the same time Casey holds the biggest part because it was her responsibility, she should not have fudged on it. And you know what? It is kind of surprisingly complex, the way that the circumstances in which it ends up taking is set up. Believe it or not. And so then they figure out they need to do something about it. So they figure out that the Tennis Pro is actually playing in town at that time, and what they do is they head over there so as to take the opportunity to get him to sign a ball, and then make it as though nothing ever happened to March's tennis ball. And so how they get over there is Casey persuades the driving instructor to allow her to drive them all over there. And this episode actually brings us probably the most unlikable character ever in the series. Danny Mango. And this is only he only appeared in 2 episodes. And yet, let me just say, somebody who, one element about this character works. I'll get to that in a moment. I'll talk about right now the 2 elements that don't work. One, the fact that he'll make his business look good even though it probably sucks. I mean, everybody does that with their business, but at the same time, to just do it so blindly and so unequivocally. Maybe that's not exactly the word I'm looking for, unequivocally. Just to do it in a way where, like, obviously, like, you don't care what anyone else thinks. It's not the best way to be likable. And that may not be the point. That may be the point, but at the same time, it's done in such an irritating way that I just really had trouble with it in that sense. Then, by the way, yesterday was Lulu's birthday. Happy birthday, Lulu. Also, a couple of my friends also shared the same birthday with me. I mean, shared the same birthday too yesterday. They each turned 22, just like I turned 21 back on August 1st. So, happy birthday to all of us. And let's see, the other element I digress though. The other element I don't really like is the way that he continuously refers to himself in the third person, saying Danny Mango, Danny Mango, Danny Mango. He did that very briefly. He didn't have that much. He had like a minute of screen time in maybe like 2 minutes of screen time in A Part-Time Job, which is a worse episode. And yet it didn't feel excessive. Here it felt very, very excessive, and it really just rubbed me the wrong way. The one element that did work though was the fact that like he owned almost every business in town. He owned, and that was funny. That was kind of amusing. And so then, when they get to the court, the 7 of them, the kids, and they try and figure out a means of getting the pro to sign the ball. It actually turns kind of convoluted in that way too, or overly complex. So it's weird how that happens. Anyways, then we get that aside. There is a moment when that aside, the ending, once they all get back and they have the ball, there's actually a real twist you would not expect with the end of this episode. It should be obvious, but it's not, and that's always the key to a great twist ending. That like it's something that's obvious, that should be obvious, that fits in very well with the story, but is not. Sixth Sense did that so well. I mean, you look at that movie now very differently. Future viewings, because it's something that like you didn't consider before, but then you realize, oh, it makes absolute perfect sense. Even though basically everybody knows what the ending of Sixth Sense is, I'm not going to say what it is because obviously I'm not going to spoil it for those who are in the minority who do not know, who are planning to see the movie. They should not know before they see it. They should be completely surprised. That being said, once again I digress. Yeah, so this is overall a good episode. I mean, I could definitely see it as a season finale had the show had a season finale. But I could understand it if the season finale, which wasn't planned to be a series finale, I could see it as that. 2 other episodes that could have been perceived as season finales, but not exactly, but weren't intended to be series finales. Had the 20 episode order not been boosted up to 26, the penultimate episode instead would have been would have been a uniform, and that would have been a great episode that the series could have ended on. Well, that would have been the penultimate episode aired. The penultimate episode made would have been High School Sensation, another great episode to have ended on. And then A Good Deed, another great episode to end on. So that's 3 great episodes. This isn't a great episode that they could have ended on. But they ended on it anyway because they finished filming with this episode. There was supposed to be an episode, I think there may have supposed to have been an episode made called Band Geeks, but How to Rock Band Geeks, but that didn't end up getting made. Anyways, I think I've said all I wanted to say about this episode. Although, one other thing. The fact the car trips back home, it seemed like, and this is pretty damn funny, if you think about it. This is almost like a message to the shippers who ship ZV or ship Zolly. The message of how, on the way over to the tennis court, Stevie is sitting next to Xander, and Molly's sitting next to Stevie. And then there's only one change on the trip back. Nobody else changes seats except for, I think, Stevie and Molly. Molly and Stevie, I believe, are the only ones who change seats. Molly is sitting next to Xander on the way back, with Stevie sitting next to Molly. So that's, I don't know if they intended for that. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but still, it's a good touch nonetheless. Either way, it works very well. So that's it for this one. One more to go. Guys, catch you on the flip side.